Hi everybody, this is Chris Johnson again. Today we're going to be discussing the differences between the Protestant Christians and the Catholics. And we're going to be doing so by reviewing this book right here. This is Answers to My Catholic Friends by Thomas Heinze. I found this is a very short book. It's actually a very inexpensive book. I found it's a really good read, it's an easy read, and it's very well documented. Thomas Heinze was he's an evangelical missionary in Italy for at least 30 years that I'm aware of. And what I liked about this book is that he did not, when he's speaking to the Catholics in this, he quotes from the Catholic Bible. He's specifically quoting from the Roman Catholic Bible, the New American Bible, translated by members of the Catholic Bible Association of America and fully approved by the Roman Catholic Church. So it is their Catholic doctrine. And he's simply showing them from their doctrine, saying, look, what you are teaching is heresy to the Scriptures, okay? And a heresy, by definition, is opinion or doctrine at variance with the orthodox or accepted doctrine of a church or religious system, okay? Christianity and Catholicism are not one and the same, not by a long shot. And he demonstrates that in here, that really the major difference comes from who is the authority. Is it God or is it man? Christians hold that it is God, and the problem with Catholicism that I have found so far is that it holds man's opinion and man's ability. Apparently the Catholics think that mankind has the ability to be good, or the ability to create his own salvation through good works, which this is totally heretical to the Bible. And he simply shows them from their Catholic book. So there may be a couple parts where I will talk from the King James Version, because that's what I use very strictly. But for most of the duration of this video, I'm going to be speaking from the Roman Catholic Bible, okay? And just showing from just from their document, from their Bible, that what they are teaching and what they are practicing is completely wrong. So there's going to be 4 points I'm going to cover here. And I didn't have all my notes up here right at the start, so let me bring those up. My 4 points, we're going to first start with the first point, which is the Mass, okay? And he asked, why do you have Mass in a church? Well, the Roman Catholic, and he states here in his book, he says, the Roman Catholic doctrine of the Mass was established at the Council of Trent. If you didn't know what the Council of Trent is, it was a very important, for Catholics, it was a very important group of all the religious leaders of their church that got together and made certain doctrines and certain rules of their church in the 16th century. And he says, which affirmed, among other things, that it is, and here I quote, he says, a sacrifice of expiation of sins and the punishment for sins, not merely for the living, but also for the poor souls in purgatory. Well, this is a problem. Even the concept of purgatory is a problem, and the Mass renewing the punishment for sins is completely heretical to the Scripture, because they claim that Christ's sacrifice is renewed in Mass, and it keeps adding a bit of merit, whatever that means, but that's what they claim. But in order to look at where this is wrong, you have to really dig into the Scriptures. Because, well, first of all, before I do that, before I dig into the Scripture, he also mentions in here, he also mentions that they also sing Mass, like what we talked about in purgatory, when he mentions purgatory here. He says that they sing the Mass for the poor souls in purgatory, trying to make up for their lost sins somehow. And what ends up happening, and he states it here, he says many people in most Roman Catholic countries have been taught that after a death in the family they must give more or less unending offering to the priests. So they have to keep giving offerings for them to sing Masses for the poor souls in purgatory, their poor, lost family members, so that they can get to heaven eventually, is what these people believe. And he says here there's a saying in Italy similar to what in America would be our saying of you only get what you pay for, and theirs translated word for word says without money they don't sing the Mass. Well, the problem is you're going to have, it's really a sad state of affairs, because what happens is you'll have some woman who loses her husband, and she's poor, and she doesn't have much, and she continually is putting every penny she has in to these priests to do these masses for her husband. Well, again, the Bible warns about people, even the Catholic Bible, which I'm going to quote from here, warns about people coming, taking the widow's money to do these kind of things. In Hebrews chapter 10, here it says, from the Catholic Bible, it says, we have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once and for all. Well, if it's once and for all, why do we need to continually keep renewing this? And this is not just in Hebrews, but it's also in a few other books of the Bible. I'm going to read this from Hebrews 10, 11 through 12. Here it says, every other priest stands ministering day by day and offering again and again those same sacrifices which can never take away sins. But Jesus offered one sacrifice for sins and took his seat forever at the right hand of God. What they're doing is completely against the Scriptures, and this is, I mean, that is basically, if Christ offers his sacrifice once, again, why do people continually try to offer sacrifices for that when it's not possible? It's already done. So, in Hebrews, let's see here, Hebrews 10, 17 and 18, it says, their sins and transgressions I will remember no more. Once these have been forgiven, there is no further offering for sin. Folks, there is no place even in the Roman Catholic Bible that shows, this New American Bible that I'm stating these scriptures from, and what this book talks about, there's nothing in here that says anything that purgatory is a real place. This is something that they've made up in their doctrine, and of course this makes the Catholic Church a whole lot of money, but that's other topic for another part. Look, I have met a whole lot of Catholics who are very sweet and kind and loving people. I've met lots of them like that, but I've also met most of them are very, very duped into thinking that what they're going and learning at that Catholic Church is actually Christian doctrine when it's not. It's something completely different. But this is not, apparently, let's see here, I didn't write down the references. There are a couple of the books of the Bible that reference to this. You can also check out, in 1 Corinthians 11 talks about this stuff, and also Romans chapter 6 talks about these things, if you guys want to look up other references to that. There's multiple places in the Bible where it talks to Jesus Christ died once for the sins of all, and that's it. So there's really no point in going and trying to renew his sacrifice when that's not what it was to be done at all. And the communion even, it says, do this in remembrance of me. So continuing on to the second part, we're going to talk about idols. There's a big difference here for the second commandment here. This is from Exodus. Now again, this is from the Catholic Bible. It says in Exodus 20, 4 through 6, it states, you shall not carve idols for yourselves in the shape of anything in the sky above, or on the earth below, or in the waters beneath the earth. You shall not bow down before them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, inflicting punishment for their fathers' wickedness on the children of those who hate me, down to the 3rd and 4th generation, but bestowing mercy down to the 1000th generation on the children of those who love me and keep my commandments. Well, this was one of the commandments in the Old Testament that's given. I'm going to, let's see if I can find it here. He has made a list in here of all the places in the Old Testament where you can find the commandments against idolatry, okay? And I'll make a list on here on the screen. I'll probably just move to one side or something so I can make some room. I'll make a list. You can pause it and go look up these references for yourself. I'm just making a short video to this effect. But here, it's not even just in the Old Testament, though, is where I've listed all these. It's also in the New Testament. I don't like saying Old and New Testament because it's one book. Separating it doesn't make any difference. Jesus Christ came to fulfill the law. He didn't change the law at all.